Welcome back to Crimson Ed Talks. Today we're doing a deep dive into the power of research with Laila Smith inside the Indigo Research Intensive Seasonal program. That's a mouthful, IRIS. That's a very catchy acronym though. All right, let's get right into it. What makes the IRIS program unique compared to other research opportunities?
I love this question, and I love IRIS. What I think makes IRIS incredibly strong is, number one, the quality of the curriculum. So students are able to come in with essentially no research experience. They move through this incredibly challenging, fast-paced program, and they come out actually with a publishable paper. And the reason that works is because we have this super structure, milestone-based system. And, whereas other programs can be much more sort of flexible and they sort of leave it to the mentor to decide how they want to structure it, we actually have done the research to decide, okay, pedagogically, how can the greatest number of students take away the greatest number of transferable skills from this program and really learn something in a deeper way. So yeah, the quality of the curriculum. And then the other thing is, I would say the hyper structured nature of it. I think of IRIS as sort of fail-proof in a sense. Basically, I think something we in education think about a lot is the fact that we are pushing our students a lot, and that, sometimes it's too much and students fall off, and it's up to us to kind of re-engage them, but it's challenging. And with something like IRIS, where it's 6 weeks, it's a kind of short-term commitment with a lot jammed into it, we actually have a better shot at students being successful in this program. So looking at past cohorts, we have something like an over 90% success rate in this program, which is actually better than some Ivy League classes, than a lot of Ivy League classes. Essentially, students need structure, and we work from the given that students are able to work with material that is too challenging for them once they sort of get used to it. And essentially the first 2 weeks of the course are focused on them sort of getting used to this material, learning the language, and then developing their research question by the end of week 2. And then from there, they sort of work on their paper. So the hyper-structured, it's the fact that it is challenging and sort of scary for them, and it's the quality of the curriculum.
And what kind of fields can students explore in IRIS?
Yes, so we're constantly trying to open up new courses. But this year, we're planning on offering, I want to say, 10 courses. So we've got genetics, we've got neuroscience, economics, we've got computer science, we've got artificial intelligence, we've got environmental science, we've got entrepreneurship, we've got engineering, which will be focused on sort of mechanical engineering, I should say. And then we've also got astrophysics and advanced political science.
And how does IRIS ensure in this sort of tight time frame of 6 weeks, students get this output of a research paper? I mean, with 90% probability, that's pretty incredible. How does that work? What kind of week do you start sort of moving into actually writing things up, learning different techniques? Break that down for us.
Yeah, so it's basically just a very, very intensive set of touch points and a lot of structure that the students get. So, and also it's the quality of the teaching, right? Like none of this would work if we didn't have fantastic teaching staff. So they come into the program, we do orientation, and they are given a welcome pack, which contains 10 extremely challenging readings from the field. These are not readings for high schoolers. These are actual readings from the field. And basically they're being inundated with a ton of technical language and concepts that they've never been introduced to before, most likely. They read it, they sort of write out the terms that they don't know, and they just spend time with that literature in the pre-reading week. That's basically week 0. Once classes start, there are 2 3-hour lectures a week, so 6 hours of lecture a week. We also have weekly office hours, and we have writing pedagogy office hours. So the kind of standard office hours are focused on the class. But we also know that at the end of the day, this is a writing course, right? Like they're coming out with a paper, and they often need writing support. So we have that as well. By the end of week 2, they come up with their research question. And then from the start of week 3, then it's basically group writing and pure editing activities. So it's all about just finishing that paper. There's, of course, learning how to do data analysis or, different methodological tools that they may need that they get from their professor, essentially with guidance and sort of like important intervention points, like coming up with the research question and then reading the first draft. And with one-on-ones at those critical times, students are able to come up with some pretty impressive work. And one thing that I would recommend, our IRIS students, a lot of them have been featured in the International Journal of High School Research, which is a fantastic high school publication. There are many tiers of publication, from the high school to the collegiate to the professorial, but the IJHSR is a fantastic high school publication. And they've been very kind to release a couple of Indigo and Iris specific editions. So the Indigo specific edition from 2023 and 2024 feature majority Iris students. So if you want to have a look at the IGHSR's website and see some prior Iris work, I highly recommend that you do that.
And it's a really interesting question. Who are these amazing folks that are able to take a student to this high intensity course? What are the backgrounds of these faculty, these professors, these PhD students? Give us some of that background.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so we really have some top faculty working with us. Some of my favorite faculty that I will highlight, we've got Kimberly Clark from Dartmouth teaching in our neuroscience program. And she's just so interesting. She's basically like a Dartmouth lifer. I'm pretty sure she did her undergrad there, she did her PhD there, and now she's teaching there. She's a lecturer, she's on faculty. And she does kind of consumer neuroscience specific stuff. She started her own firm which has consulted with the US government and Viacom and many other major corporations. But yeah, she is here teaching neuroscience to our students. I should also just say that when we are looking for professors for our program, when we interview them, obviously anyone who has a prestigious position is a brilliant mind in some way. But what we are looking for is the person who sort of straddles not only being a brilliant mind, but being a passionate educator. And let's be real, like you and I both know that not everyone at the top tier of academia actually cares that much about teaching. Some of them just want to do research in their rooms and be done with it. So what we're looking for is that kind of small segment of folks who care deeply about teaching and pedagogy and reaching the younger generations.
Now, with all these students coming from different corners of the world, how do you facilitate collaboration from all these different countries, but also cultural backgrounds, and perhaps even different academic backgrounds as well?
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, it's a pretty radical experience. Students come in and most of them have never been in a sort of seminar style learning environment. We make sure that through the curricula that our professors are coming up with really interactive material and the students are asked to sort of teach each other. One thing I say to students when they come into IRIS is that this is really about joining an intellectual community. This is about peer-to-peer learning just as much as it is about learning from these professors. And some people learn, in my opinion, we're greater than the sum of our parts, right? So I do believe that when you are learning in a group environment, you are likely to come up with better ideas than if you were just learning on your own. But yeah, in terms of facilitating that, it's through different kinds of sort of group and peer-to-peer activities and, peer evaluation. We do everything virtually, so we're able to have classrooms of, many different kinds of students. But yeah, we also have a learner agreement where all students who come in are expected to behave in a certain way and exhibit intellectual, social, and emotional maturity.
I love the idea of the learner agreement. I think so much of these experiences are driven by peer interaction and how engaged your peers are as well, and that really sets the bar sometimes. So
100%.
Very powerful stuff. How do students actually get involved in IRIS?
Great question. Number one, I would say follow us on Instagram. We're always posting about it on Instagram. I often talk to our IRIS students via Instagram, and then we can send you the application link. So either you can meet with someone from the Indigo team, and basically from there, we sort of mutually decide if it's a good fit for you and your learning style and where you're at. IRIS is a challenging course, but we do believe that people from all academic backgrounds can join us and be successful. Or you can use just the kind of freestanding application and not meet with someone from the Indigo team. There are some application questions via that channel just to ensure that you have the correct English language skills and you're sort of in the right headspace to take on the course. But yeah, basically connect with us via social media and check our website because we're talking about it often there as well.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Laila. And honestly, if you're a high school student thinking about what you're going to do over the summer, give the IRIS program some serious thought. There are a few ways in which you can really rapidly learn how to conduct this rigorous research. And you've really heard from the leader of the program, the rigor that goes into designing the curriculum, the faculty, and the amazing results of students actually producing fantastic published research, but also really acquiring key skills that will help them thrive in their university studies and beyond.
Amen.
Alrighty, off to some rapid fires. Okay. What's the most unique feature of the IRIS program?
Hyperstructure intensiveness.
Love it. What's the most popular research field among students?
Ooh, genetics.
How do students handle such an intense program?
Executive functioning and scheduling out exactly what you're going to do and when.
Best thing about working with students from 30 plus countries?
Gosh, yeah, different experiences, different perspectives.
A standout project you've seen?
This is such a good question. We ran our advanced politics course for the first time last year, and we had a couple students do some pretty impressive work from that. So we had a student write a paper called TikTokocracy, which was published by, I think it was the New Courier, but like a real publication.
And what's your advice for students facing challenges in Iris?
Go to office hours. That's always the answer.
By the way, that's a great tip for university as well. Definitely remember that one. Alrighty, fantastic. Laila, thanks so much for an incredible episode.
Thank you so much.